All right, guys, so let's talk about the inside scoop of the major business credit bureaus, which is Dun& Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Now, these are so important. These are the major companies that monitor business credit. Dun& Bradstreet, they sell a plethora of information to vendors regarding how they pay their business bills and credits all across the globe. Dun& Bradstreet is one of the best known companies in the business credit monitoring arena. But they're not the only ones around. You have Experian, which they provide business credit reports as well and credit scores for millions of business in the United States. And then you have Equifax. They also offer credit scores and reports for millions of US-based businesses as well as businesses in Canada. And they partner with certain credit cards, such as like your GE Capital, and these companies report exclusively with Equifax. And so it's important to know which companies report exclusively with what vendors, and we're going to show you that later on in the lessons. Equifax, Experian, and Dun& Bradstreet, if you're going to be professional about your business credit, you're going to want to monitor each and every last one of those credit reporting agencies, business credit reporting agencies, so you know exactly what's going on with your business credit. But before you do anything at all, you want to establish your Dun& Bradstreet credit profile. Now, I will say, Dun & Bradstreet was like the flagship for business credit back in the day. But now it's not really the case, but it's good to establish that Dun & Bradstreet profile. A lot of people put the emphasis on Dun & Bradstreet, but remember, well, I guess I didn't mention this yet, but Dun & Bradstreet, you can pay to establish a business profile, for a certain amount of money, and that profile is established in Dun & Bradstreet's report on that status, to help you build your paydex score. Now we're going to talk about the paydex score and the different types of scores that each of the business credit bureaus use to report their information later in the course. But I'm just making note of it that, it's important to get your credit monitoring, which we're going to break down a little bit down in the course. Now, I would say to establish your D&B profile, it normally takes about, say, if you do it properly, you can get it established in like 3 months to establish credit history with your Dun & Bradstreet profile. And approximately about 6 to 9 months to establish the profiles with the other two bureaus. But the good thing about Dun & Bradstreet is when you set up your Dun & Bradstreet profile and you start actually reporting credit history to the Dun & Bradstreet profile, and you follow our step-by-step instructions, you're going to automatically trigger credit profiles with Experian and Equifax over time. And that's why I said it takes about 6 to 9 months to establish credit profiles with Experian and Equifax, the other two bureaus. But it's imperative that you follow the strategy and get started right away. Now, creating a D&B profile involves some particular steps that must be followed with precision and order. There's very little margin for error when you're setting up that D&B profile. But on the other hand, building credit histories with the other credit bureaus don't require much of a hands-on approach. But that D&B, you got to be on point. So to apply for business credit and government grants, you're going to need what is called a DUNS number. All right, and we're going to talk about a DUNS number down the line. Now, Dun & Bradstreet will assign each business a DUNS number. So we're going to help you, and we're going to show you exactly where to go to get that DUNS number and things like that. And so just follow along in the lesson. Now, the main thing to remember is that, like I mentioned before, years ago, you didn't need a D&B profile. You could just access credit. That was the easy part about it. But things have changed since those recent times. Experian and Equifax are now considered to be more of a credible source as far as credit, a credit source actually, because people in the industry know that you can pay D&B a certain amount of money. At the time, it could be $4.99 on up to build a credit profile for your business in days. So people got kind of hip to that, and D&B is not the most favorable credit source that they only simply pay attention to now these days. So you need to be set up with all three of the credit bureaus, and you need all of your vendors to report to the credit bureaus as far as Dun & Bradstreet. And then Dun & Bradstreet is going to verify your payment history with them, and then they also will begin to report it to Experian and Equifax. All right, so that's why it's important to sign up with Dun & Bradstreet, as well as build a business profile, but you don't necessarily have to pay for it, but you just follow the steps in this course, and you'll be able to be successful building your business credit. All right, so I guess what else? Without a doubt, paying for it, of course, and building that credit profile is pretty good, but you can do the same thing without paying for it and achieve the same result in like 90 days or less with very little effort. The fact that Dun & Bradstreet allows your business profile, allows you to pay for your credit profile, their information is going to be received as less credible throughout the industry. And vendors kind of look at that, creditors look at that as well. That's why it's important to have Equifax and Experian, and we're going to show you how to build that as well. So with those credit bureaus, you can get those credit bureaus to manually add your payment history to your credit reports. All right, so we're going to show you and talk about that as well. You actually can build those credit reports with Equifax and Experian by getting them manually to add those vendors to your credit reports. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to go on to the next slide. I hope this slide is giving you some insight where we're going. We want you to build that business credit. Thanks a lot.